Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, we didn't mention she's funny too. Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey everybody, welcome to Paranormal Karen, the bonus episode. I am so excited. You all know how much I love Deete. She is here to talk coronavirus, and we'll get to that about her YouTube tapes. Before, real quick, I just want to tell you guys, I keep forgetting to tell you, first of all, you can get a reading. I think you guys all know that from my website, paranormalkaren.com or karenrontowski.com. I have merchandise. I have merch to sell that is not yet on the site. You can email me if you want it, and it's a little bit weird. The Shungite guy, Derek, he made me Paranormal Karen stickers. They're the ones that have the Shungite and the silver in them. You put them in your phone and you don't get your head radiated and fried. Those are $15 if you want one. And also I'm selling Paranormal Karen reusable straws. They come in a little plastic case. You can take them with there. You might find yourself somewhere where you're doing cocaine and you say, these people don't look clean. I need my own straw. It's perfect for that. Or drinks, if you want drinks. Those are only $5. Email me if you'd like either one before I get them on my site. So now, let's do it. Deete, my friend, how are you?
Hi everybody. Hi Karen.
It's so good. It's so good to hear from you again. I was so taken with your YouTube tapes about Corona. Thank you for coming on so quickly.
Yes, I actually have a lot more to say about it if you want to talk about that and go in that direction. There's a whole backstory to that. I just gave out like the basics for my YouTube video on that one. So
wow. Okay. So here's the first part. I want to ask you about the channel, and then let's do it. And you just take me with whatever information you have, because it was fascinating. Because and your channel on YouTube, Reincarnated Mormon, right?
So I think you can still find it on Reincarnated Mormon. If you just type in my name, Deete, and then just put like psychic medium or channel, it should come up. Reincarnated Mormon is the old version. I just did that so that people wouldn't think that I was just dedicating my work to Mormons, just expand. So I think it will come up, but definitely under Deete.
And also make sure that your spell check doesn't make it delete.
I know. It does that. I'm like, that's not the same.
I know. And I have to figure out how to go back and do it right. And folks, and before or after, go watch her whoops. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I forgot to silence my phone. That's my animal communicator friend texting me. So go check out the tapes. Now the first one I saw, you were channeling, were they reptilians or draconians? And they were telling you what they were seeing with the virus.
Yes. So for the coronavirus,
now Alexa is talking. This has got to be the universe. Nothing is happening.
This is what happens whenever we say draconian. It really is.
Is it? I truly believe that. And something has gotten weird around my. Okay. Well, anyways. Okay, folks. I'm sorry. You'll hear the dog snore. Maybe someone's crack house will explode as we try to speak of this. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So, I guess I should start off with, I had a visitation from a draconian a couple years ago. It happened twice. And in meditations and various things, I had reptoids come to me. And basically, so if anyone's familiar with like their natal chart or astrology, my chart is ruled by Scorpio. So it's basically like collective unconscious, the subconscious. It's very like deep, dark secrets. And I was asked by the reptoid dynasty, if you want to call it that, that's what they like to be called, to channel as different things come to the surface, as like the hidden becomes in conscious awareness and becomes enlightened, to basically like just help people understand what's been going on and to try to like just make sense of it in a safe way. So that's what I did with the coronavirus. Yeah.
And here's a weird question about it, because I know that obviously other beings don't talk like politely, or they kind of have not a different set of ethics, but there was a couple of times it was a little scary when they were talking about controlling human consciousness. And I don't know if that's just the way they speak. Do you find them to be a little, are they dangerous?
Well, I've experienced two different kinds. So I have these species where they're very domineering, controlling. I liken their energy to like a military officer. Not the military officers are, like scary or bad by any means, but it's a very black and white way of thinking. And it's very kind of my way or the highway and control.
Right.
And there's also this other, I don't know if it's a different species or a different consciousness of reptoid that's very like magical and mystical and ancient, that is wanting human consciousness to be aware of their own psyche and their own unconsciousness. And they're helping awaken that. So I feel like there's like two different kinds kind of combating right now.
Okay. So that because I noticed that, and one of my favorite tapes also is you channeling a reptilian for some radio host or something, and it was fascinating how they were like, no, we're already here. We've got some people. We want land. And they were almost saying, we also like competitors. We don't want you to roll over. We want you to fight, kind of thing. It was very super interesting. So, okay, so they contacted you and told you they wanted to explain Corona or their view on Corona?
Well, they contacted me, I think like a couple years ago. It was. And then when I tapped into like the Galactic Council, which is more love and light and helping humanity, I asked to view the shadow aspects of the coronavirus because they gave me more of like how it's helping. And I asked, can I view the shadow aspects and what is that tied to? And that's when I got the reptoids coming through, and they asked to be called the Dynasty. So.
Wow. Yeah, I saw that, which again, that might mean something different to them. Or when the Galactic Council. Okay. So they had told you it was good. Give us a couple of good things and then we'll go right to the shadow.
Yeah. So the good thing about the coronavirus is that it's allowing us to go inward and looking at, where we want to strengthen ourselves and where we want to kind of reach more light. And also kind of seeing where we've incorporated a lot of that light, where we've gained unity. I'm trying to remember also what the Galactic Federation, it's funny, in channeling them, and I validated this with some other channelers after we've all done our channeling, they didn't seem worried. They didn't have fear like we were going down. They felt very at peace that this experience would help us unite, bring each other together, and to kind of see where our values really lied. Are we placing too much emphasis on survival mechanisms with money, survival mechanisms with food, and we're ignoring the higher consciousness of soul evolution and what that means for us as humans?
And that makes perfect sense, just in the way, the first thing I said is, well, if the world ever realized we are all one energy, Corona was the way to teach us that. We're all one. We're all in this together. But also, people are getting kinder, and they are also focusing on their families. And, that's not a terrible thing.
Right. But then we're also seeing some of the places where people are hoarding, people are feeling scared. And so they're taking more than maybe what they need, or feeling like they're going to go into lack. And I always say, we're all in this together. Like, we're going to be taken care of if we support each other as a community. Because I know that if I knew my neighbor didn't get toilet paper or whatever, I would help them. Mm-hmm. They're not at a loss. They don't have to do it alone. And I think that's what the Galactic Federation wants to just let us kind of step back and look at. Like, where do we feel separate, but where can we unite and find community?
Wow. And when they were actually saying things like, I can't remember how you said it, but they were almost like, we find that interesting. We're watching you do this. We find this interesting. Like they were watching it as a movie.
Yeah, so both the Galactic Federation and the, I guess, shadow aspect of consciousness, maybe shadow aspect of ETs, they both were watching things just to see how humans would handle the chaos, I guess, and how that would evolve us. They're both very interested.
Now, they didn't cause the chaos. They're not saying it's them, but they're like, oh, there's going to be chaos. Let's see what they'll do.
I don't think they did. I don't think they caused it. I do know that when I remote viewed the virus, it was created in a laboratory. I don't know why. I didn't get that it was supposed to be leaked out, but I got that it was created as a biological weapon for potential use. I don't think it was supposed to get out the way that it did. And that's also been validated by several other psychic channelers. So, yeah.
That's interesting because I watched a friend of mine had a tape on it, and she said, and I'm not sure where her information was, but this sounds right, that the animals were tested in a lab, or they were doing whatever they did on the animal, and then in China, these lab technicians try to make extra money selling the animals they've tested things on in the market. So they tested this virus and then put it out for sale. Now, my other half of it, because everybody knows I'm 5G crazy, I think that 5G is the breakdown of our immune system, which immediately made this virus stronger.
See, I haven't looked into 5G, but that could be true. I mean,
or we could all be crazy. But it seems like to me that's where I'm weighing in on my crazy.
Well, so I think from what I remember when I did the channeling on the coronavirus, it was really vague. But when I go back and look at it from what the reptoid had said, they said that the virus actually latches into your DNA and changes, which is what a virus does anyway. It can shift DNA, take over, and if there are other external frequencies, it can shift your DNA even more. So I'm wondering if maybe the virus wasn't supposed to actually like be so toxic and kill people, but if it was supposed to just play with the DNA and see if there could be some mind control behind it with 5G. I'm just kind of playing with that idea. Like maybe it was supposed to really alter DNA and genetics, but it wasn't supposed to be as strong. And so they're playing with these ideas in labs to see, just to experiment and see.
Wow. See, that almost totally makes perfect sense with the last, the bonus episode that comes out just before this one with Derek talking about 5G. Because also there's a doctor that did a tape on it. I'll actually text you that later. And one of the things he said, guess what was the first city to be completely covered in 5G? It's Wuhan.
That's what I heard too.
So
yeah, I heard. And I have heard too through the Galactic Federation and just like the council and stuff that part of the New World Order idea is this idea that like what would take place of God is like digital God, kind of like the computer. And so it's not like yourself that taps into God anymore. For those people that cannot understand the idea of tapping into yourself as source, they need something external to kind of guide them, like religion did. They're wanting it to be technology. And so I don't know if that's what they're playing with to tap into. Does that make sense? Like a hive mind in that way.
It does. And also, there's a show on HBO called Years and Years. And it's a thriller, it's a political thing, but everyone watch it. They go into the future, and there's even like on Snapchat, the way people put those funny faces on, or they put bunny ears on or something. The girl is doing that. Now you do that without a phone. You can put that mask on digitally. There's one, it's really, they show how we are going to become, it's very strange. I don't want to give away the big thing, but literally at one point, the girl has to replace her eye with a camera. It's kind of where we're going.
Yeah. And so I think it was about 4 years ago, I channeled the Reptoid. And one of the things that he said was that one of their hopes for is to be able to incorporate biotechnology in the human DNA to the point where like you can think it and become it. Like you can turn yourself into a flying object if your conscious awareness and biotechnology can provide that. Like you can become a machine. Yeah, exactly. And I know that I think I heard the military was working on different things like that, like being able to transform people into like a bio machine, basically.
Now, so here's my thinking on that, because I think AI is developed. We haven't even gotten to the topic yet.
It's fine.
I could talk to you forever. I think AI, and this is a story I'm sure I've told on the podcast. Facebook created two computers to see if they could talk to each other. Within 5 minutes, they started bartering. Like all of a sudden, they were bartering, like people would negotiate. And then after 6 minutes, the two computers had created their own language so that the humans could not understand them, and they did away with it right away. I think there is a consciousness that scares me when they say that we could become that, because I feel like that's here's the thing. There's something about humans. There's something about us. When you look at the Skinwalker Ranch or any of these crazy paranormal things, or even the UFO people that are, killing cows, or, whatever they do, dismantling them, nobody really touches humans. Right? Or maybe some people have been abducted that I don't, maybe I'm being general here, but there's something about us and our consciousness that I think keeps us connected to God. And that would scare me if we would give it up for technology. I mean, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Right. And I wonder if that's what a lot of ascension workers, and I think there's a lot of things on YouTube with light workers talking about like the new world and two worlds, like almost two worlds splitting off. I see that some generations just don't understand the concept of source within and getting into your higher consciousness through yourself. I think that they're used to a way of life that religion has provided and political systems, that technology will take that place for them. But if you don't want that time is to decide that now so that you can ascend into the other world, I guess, if that's the way you want to call it, or like the other dimensional frequency.
Right. The people world, which, I already dislike this thing called Clear at the airport, where they take your eye and then you look in the thing and they know it's you, that eye retina identification.
Yeah, that's creepy. Yeah, it is creepy.
I know. I don't like that at all. I'm okay with TSA pre. Okay, so you had some more information. Where do we even begin with the insights on the coronavirus?
Okay, so I'm going to take this in a weird direction. You can stop me if you want to. But this virus, it has a lot of undertones of ancient times. And I'll give an experience I had, and hopefully it doesn't get too weird. But
you're on my show. It's all weird. You're in a good company.
I've been called like demon lady, a lot of different things. So we'll see where this goes.
Oh my God. I'll give you the clear on that. No one will call you that here. We love you.
Okay, good. Okay. So about 4 years ago, when a lot of this stuff opened up for me, I had a visitation from this being. He looked very beastly, and he said his name was Octavius, and he said he was part of like a breeding program in that time period. And as many may remember, Octavius was the first emperor of Rome, and during that time, it's very significant because that's what I call the old world order. That's when tribes were taken over to become part of the new political system of Rome. Everyone had to conform. All money was consolidated to be basically just part of the world order of the Roman Empire. And also spirituality became the world religion of the Roman Catholic Church. And we still see it evident today. We still see evidence of all of that. I was telling people on the YouTube video that I made that DC is actually just like a small representation of Rome.
Ugh, I don't know what to do about that. And actually it gives me the chills because exactly what you're saying. I never realized it until I saw your video, and I'm turning the iPad off, so it's going to go doot doot, and then I have no other excuse of why that would do that. Okay, all right.
Okay, so this is where it gets weird. This is where things just get weird. Okay, so corona means crown, which I say in the video in Latin, and it mentioned that Octavius, the first emperor of Rome, wore it as an emblem of being able to defeat enemies and having that empire reign supreme, basically. So the word corona is very significant, mainly also because the old world order is now kind of demonstrating itself for a new world order, if that makes sense. It's kind of like passing the crown in a new way. And the virus is basically the idea of a warning to me that the crown is infiltrating our DNA. It's a threat to our DNA, which we've already talked about. I mean, if you're bringing in biological warfare, biological shifting with 5G or other technology, it is a threat on the DNA. You're going to change. And that's, I think, what they're hoping for. The second part of this that gets kind of weird is, you know how they've been calling it COVID? Is it COVID-19?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at Ovid, just OVID, that was an old poet that Octavius actually exiled during that time. He wrote a narrative poem in Latin called Metamorphosis, which is basically books of transformations.
Oh.
Yeah. And he spoke a lot about love and the human species and how to transform yourself from lower frequency into higher frequency. And he was exiled for writing these. I think you can actually look up the Metamorphosis and get a download of what the books are about. And there's a lot about alchemy in it, a lot about like the Gold Age, the Bronze Age, and then like the Iron Age, and the idea of like the Iron Age is the wars, and the Gold Age is like the highest part of enlightenment. And he put a lot of just allegory and stuff in there. So I just find that interesting.
Yes. And that's what we're all doing this on YouTube and with podcasts. We're trying to get people to a higher vibration. That's exactly, we are that guy. We are Ovid.
We are that guy. Yeah. And then, so it's interesting. And then if you kind of break it down even further, which I mean, I'm kind of like dissecting this to the smallest little bit, but so you have Ovid, and then if you take C in front of the Ovid, C is the third letter in the alphabet, which is a representation of like creation and like creativity and rebirthing yourself, basically, because it's like the 3 is the birth.
Uh-huh.
And then 19 equals 10, which is the number of God and like finality.
Huh.
So it's just like, there's just a lot of themes that you're just like, okay, this is a warning,
right,
for all to know that the New World Order is coming. So figure out what you want and get clear, because they've planned this. Like, this has already been planned for years.
It's like there are so many coincidences. Now, I don't know if this is true, but somebody on one of the comments in the video said Ovid, O-V-I-D, is, I thought they said Latin for sheep.
Yeah, I looked that up and I actually couldn't find any validation for that, but
okay.
I don't write it off. Like, I mean, there could be something tied to that.
Okay, so now Octavius, when you met him, was he nice? Was he single? No, was he, was that, how do you view him in this now? Do you see him as sort of part of the New World Order or trying to come back and make that work? Or as a warning? He's giving you a warning.
I think it was a warning, because I had another being come to me within a short amount of time from that talked about the Anunnaki and the New World Order, and for me to be an advocate about what that was, and to it was to warn people, I guess, about it. Like, what does that mean for us and for the human body? But what's interesting about that visitation is Octavius showed me himself as like a beast. Like, he was very I don't want to say demonic. I would say maybe like just otherworldly.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't human form, which is interesting to me. And then I did a past life regression, which I'm still deciding if past life regressions work or if they're real. I'm kind of just playing with the idea, but I did one. And I had a lifetime with Octavius.
Oh.
And he's coming up from the street with, they look like Anubis, like the Greek Anubis characters.
Uh-huh.
They look like beings from another world that are guiding him and helping him.
Anubis, I believe, for tarot nuts, is on the Wheel of Fortune and is coming up. He comes up from the underworld, right? He leads souls. Am I correct? Am I in the wrong?
No, I think that is what Anubis does. So these guys didn't actually look, or they didn't seem like they were Anubis as that archetype. They just looked like him.
Oh, okay.
With the animal head and, that otherworldly animal body kind of thing.
Wow. How do you not freak out when you see this?
Well, the thing that I've been doing that I wish I wouldn't have done is I become more avoidant because I don't know how to handle it. Like, I don't know how to confront it. So when Octavius appeared, I ended up just sitting up and saying, like, who are you? What are you? And then I feel like I should have communicated more, but I ended up just turning around and going back to bed because I'm like, I don't know what to do.
I get that because I always talk about how when something is not in our consciousness, like lately, this has just opened up for me this year where I'm seeing things that are not really, they might be pictures in books. I don't know, but like, I keep seeing trolls and their heads are so big that it's weird. So I know, but I can't imagine that not being, you really literally would go to bed like, let's just get this over with. I don't know what that was. Let's get it over with.
Well, yeah. And it was this one was in the middle of the night. So I was like, kind of just, like your mind's just unclear anyway. And I'm like, what's happening? Like, leave me alone kind of thing.
Right. So on, and also what was interesting to me is when on the tape where you were doing the channeling, you were like, okay, I'm done. They kept showing you stuff. Like they were really, it's very interesting because I always think of channeling as us asking them, but they really had stuff for you to tell us, didn't they?
Yeah, I was trying to keep it just a quick video. And there was a lot of things that they were tying together. I think that's because the virus is tied to so many political things and like things that we don't fully understand. Like we're just hearing about the virus, but it's tied to like China, the economy, political structure. Like It's so much. And so I couldn't get it all in. And I think they really wanted me to just tie everything in together as much as possible.
Yeah, I there's anybody that follows my stuff. There's a Vedic astrologer named Joni Patri that I find to be just so on, and she was saying the Vedic astrology of Trump, Biden, and Bernie Sanders is all that they will get the coronavirus. But it's funny because I think they were trying to show you what I think, which is I think the election is going to be a mess. And I also think Trump will win, kind of. I actually think there'll be a female, and this could be Nancy Pelosi because of default. But I thought they were trying to show you that, and I think that it could be part of the, like, where this country goes nuts.
Yeah, because there's so many people that don't want Trump in, and so there's like this war also on like that political office. Yeah, that could be. And I don't actually follow any of that because I'm like, politics. Yeah. But that could be a very significant relationship with this.
This is how polarized our country is with politics. I was working in Vegas and there was two guys and they were laughing and they were having a great time at the show. They were having such a good time that I was like, I love you guys. What do you do? The first guy just got out of the Air Force where he was a dispatched bombs. Okay. He's part of the chain. I said, well, obviously not just you. And he's like, no, he says he dispatches bombs and the crowd goes crazy applause. Okay. And I said to the guy he was with, he goes, this is my brother. But what's your brother do? Brother says, I work for a political super PAC, and the crowd boos.
Oh, no.
And I go, wait. So we love the guy that kills people, but we're not okay with the guy that has an opinion. And the crowd laughed, but they didn't even know what side super PAC he was on. They just got so, and I was like, see, I don't see any way of winning in November, because if Trump doesn't win, the other side is going to lose their mind. I will lose my mind. I wish I was aside from this, but I'm not. I figure I'm the single lady with no kids. If anyone needs to go into battle and they need a middle-aged woman, I'm here.
Like, I step up. I contribute or whatever.
All the middle-aged women with no kids and hot flashes just coming across the field. Yeah, even the White House, and I didn't even think about that till you said it. The White House looks like a Roman building.
Oh, I know. I was so surprised. So I actually never have gone to D.C. until the inauguration of Trump. I went down there during that inauguration, and I was like, I feel like I'm in Rome. Every building is laden with Roman sayings, the gods of Rome. Like, I'm like, this is weird. And I realized, okay, we're not separate from Europe. We never were. And it made me feel like we probably were never a democracy, or at least we weren't for a very long time. Mm-hmm. I still think the crown is heavily involved in America. And if anybody actually wants to read, Manly P. Hall wrote a book called, now I can't think of it. I'll think of it in a second. But he wrote a book about the idea that America was found long before Columbus actually found it, long before what the schools suggest. And it was basically like this area where it would be developed. And there was a lot of programs and stuff kind of being created before people actually even came over.
That's very interesting. I know the Vikings actually discovered America before we discovered America, which I'm obsessed with the Vikings. I truly am. But, and we're way off topic now, but that story about North Carolina where they just disappeared. A whole group of settlers just disappeared.
No, but that sounds intriguing.
It is. It's everybody came to the New World. For some reason, the ships had to go back to England, and they came back, everything gone. Like, not a shred of clothing, not a tent, not where there used to be a place, not anything burnt down. And there was just one word that was carved on a tree. And was it Croanoke, or it was some word? It was one word, and that was all. They never found those people. They never found anything. They figured even if the Indians had attacked and taken them up, there would be something left. But that's very interesting. I wonder if they were part of the program.
That's so weird. Yeah. So the book is called The Secret Destiny of America, and he's got a lot of good references with that as well. And I think he had a lot of insiders in his research.
Wow. Okay. All right. So I already blown my mind over and over. So what do you think? Do you have an overall about what this is about? It is the evolution of us. It is the evolution of something. And I know when they show that video, I hate to be horrible to these people, but when they show that video of the guy coming out of Costco and he opens up the toilet paper and the people just go at it, like I can talk to anyone. I don't know that I can talk to those people. Like, I feel like there's an absence there, and this might be the split in the two worlds you're talking about. Where, like, there's a Chinese proverb that says something like, heaven and hell. In heaven, everybody has no arms, they have chopsticks. And you see in heaven, they're all sitting in a room full of rice, and they're feeding each other, and they're laughing, and everyone is fat from eating so much rice. And then you go to hell, where everyone is scared. They can't feed themselves because their arms are chopsticks, and everyone's starving sitting in the rice. That's what I kind of felt like it was. Did I tell that story right?
Yeah. In fact, a couple years ago, when I was having more visitations in preparation, I think for these times coming ahead, I was shown this like great divide. And I think we even talked about it last time, and it's made me actually really happy with a lot of the light workers that are like, don't go to fear. Like, they're really trying to bring people back into their bodies in their trust in their inside themselves instead of these like survival tactics.
Yeah.
But then it's disappointing because you see a large group of people, which I think a larger group of people are afraid and going into that scarcity and fighting other people. There was a thing on Facebook from a local city person, because I'm on like a city Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them said that a lady slapped the cashier in the face because they put that ban on, you can only buy like a certain amount of eggs and meat now. And I'm like, wow, like, not to look at it as a collective, but for her, she's not in a place where like she's still scared, right? That's a very scary reaction. Like I don't feel like I have enough food, so I've got to react. And I think that we just need to trust each other, that we can care for each other. Like, we're going to be there for each other, but we've never really done that. We've lived in a society where everything's separate and you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Unless you're in like a small family unit kind of thing.
Yeah. And, that's a fascinating, how afraid does that woman have to be that she would hit another human being? That's, it's not even medication, which you shouldn't hit anyone for medication, but you know what I mean? It's like, my kid is going to die if I don't get this. It's like, Cheetos or something crazy. Yeah. That's the part where there's, and I don't even know if I have an answer for that, because it really is. And I don't think it's being overhyped. Obviously, it's very contagious, but it's wild the amount of emails I'm getting. And some of them were like, every time you come in the house, take off all your clothes. And I'm like, I have a dog. He goes out 5 times a day. I can't, it's like, there's a little bit of it that's like, I can't even turn that on. I will do the best I can. And 80% of the people that get it just get over it. It's pretty intense. It really, it's not a nuclear bomb that's coming. It's, I just can't, I don't know. I'm not making any sense now. Okay.
I will say though, it is, what scares me about everything is like, like if we look at the collective and society, the best thing to do is to like unite somehow, or at least on a small scale, like get single-minded to like, no, this is what we want. This is what our desires are, but we're all over the place. And if you look at like, I don't want to call them like the elites or whatever, but like the people that put systems in place, they talk about things and they're on board. Like, it is like run like a business. Yeah. So if you're not thinking in that same way, you're going to just get really run over very quickly. And I feel like as a society, we've got to get a little bit more cohesive. And this has been a wake-up call to show where we're really not. Like, you've got a very big divide, I think, with people very afraid. And then you've got people that are just trusting that this is what needs to happen.
Well, you know what, too? This divide, I mean, I know that I always think the divide will be like Democrat and Republican, but it might just be rich and poor. The Hobby Lobby people have to work because God told the owner's wife that they should stay open. What is that about? That's complete insanity. What God are you talking to that needs to get, taffeta and buttons out on a day when people are dying? What are you talking about? That is, and I also have this weird feeling because, a lot of people are not going to bounce back. David Icke was talking about this, and he's a little too far out for me, but he was right about this is going to kill small business, which is going to make people like Amazon bigger, or, the regular yarn store is going to lose to the Hobby Lobby. And I think people are done with that. And I went on a tirade. This is our money that you are playing with, that you're buying $50,000 chairs, Ben Carson, or, golf trips or whatever it is. And that's everybody across board. That's not Republicans. That's all those people in Congress and the Senate. They are playing with our money, and it's our money. And if enough people, you can't destroy that many people before they realize they have nothing to lose. It's like, I can't remember who the guy was that said, would you rather fight an army or the Palestinians throwing rocks? And he said, an army. The Palestinians throwing rocks have nothing to lose. And I'm wondering if the poor are going to get to that point where they're like, no more. But now I got very, very end of the world-ish. But I do believe there's good on the other side of this.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think part of like the technology stage, or even like maybe the age of Aquarius that we're entering in, is technology based. And I'm wondering if a lot of big companies are looking at this shutdown and seeing, where do we need to put stuff online where people can just pick stuff up? Because if they can't come in, that will kill our business. So we need to get our online site up running, which is very Aquarius, right? It's very technology. So they're pushing businesses in that direction. And then there's also that aspect, like you said, the small businesses, where my husband has a small business and he barely made it through the 2008 crash. I mean, we were like, it was like beans and rice. Like we were like, we got to just keep this business afloat. It's a very small family business. And he's like, I don't think I can do that again. Like we took everything to keep that afloat. And he's like, I don't even know if I want to do that again. So he's now would be forced into maybe a different career avenue, where if technology is the career path that is thriving, that's where people are going to be heading, over small business. And then, like you said, the big businesses stay afloat and they kind of become the monopoly, I guess.
Right. Everybody's working for the man. In fact, yeah. So now that I kind of brought this to a weird low point, let's go to a high point. So, the things we can do, first of all, we can try and support those small businesses instead of the big. That's a good thing we can do. You know, reach out and help your neighbor. Ask them if they have enough toilet paper. And if they don't, slap them. No.
Get rid of them.
Yeah. So you have a good bring us back up sort of message here, Deete? I know you do. You always do.
A love and light. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I've been telling my personal clients when I do sessions, when they ask kind of these things, like, well, what can I do to like bring more higher consciousness in my life and move toward 5D, basically, is to find like communities that you trust and like build deeper friendships, build deeper emotional connections, because I think there's a huge thing with trust that's coming up with this for a lot of people. Like, who can I trust? Can I even trust my friends? Like, can I trust my neighbors? It's like, establish that after the dust goes down, establish emotional connections. And that takes like healing yourself and looking at your emotions, which, I mean, I don't know if you know numerology, but number 2 is like the feminine. And we're in like 2020, we're in like a lot of 2s this year, which is healing emotions and healing that like feminine energy. And I think that's going to bring us to a place where we can trust and like have community.
Yeah, it's so funny. Right before you said that, I was thinking about like, because I'm pretty much a loner. I have a lot of friends, and I'm sure I have more people who would help me out than I think. But it was funny because I was thinking emotional connections, and I wanted to make a joke and go, "Well, now you're scaring us again if we have to make emotional connections."
I know, it's scary. It is.
Yeah,
especially looking at our history and feeling like we've been in wars with each other and fights and.
Yeah. And it is that, and I'm not good at this. I'm working on this, but it is that going, hey, somebody else has a different perspective. That doesn't make them a terrible person.
Well, and I thought about this too. Like, I have my stuff that I'm really good at. Like I was saying, I'm very artistic and creative, and I gravitate to people like that. But my husband's more stable, you know, financial. He's a 4, and I need to have him to help with the stability as well. Like, we need opposites and we need to know how to work together. And there's actually, in one of my sociology classes, the professor actually made a good point. He said that like Republicans, this is general, so nobody freak out. But Republicans, they tend to be a little less empathetic. They're very good at creating structure. They're very into like capitalism and business.
Yeah.
And liberals tend to be a lot more neurotic. They go with emotions and they're more empathetic.
Yeah. If you're going to do big stereotypes, I agree with both of those. Yes.
Yeah. This is according to my professor. So this is what he says, like statistically, this is what's been found. And he said, the idea isn't to butt heads. It's to allow the empathetic structure or the empathetic people to have some type of structure to that. So they're not super neurotic. So there's some stability.
Exactly. And you know, I used to feel, this is a weird thing, and then I'll Oh my God, I'll let you go. They, I feel like that was a perfect balance. And then it suddenly became pro-choice, pro-life. And it got a weird religious side to it. And both sides butt heads with that, where it became like evangelical Christians, you have to be Republican, and spiritual people, you have to be Democrat. And it moved into a weird place, because I completely agree. And the most greatest way to think of it, separate state and church. But I think your professor is exactly right. That is the true balance that we need to get back to.
Yeah, having each other work with each other on those polar opposites, I think can work. But then I also channel for private sessions that, like, what is needed now is like-mindedness. And I think I was bringing that up earlier. Like, you need people that kind of actually see things very similar in that sense. Like, they can create stability and you can be the neurotic artist, but do you have the same vision? Do you have the same values? And I think that's where when you bring in topics like pro-choice, that's a value that has a lot of disputes.
Yeah, it seems like I agree. How that all got intertwined is just crazy. But anyways, Well, anyways, Deete, I can't thank you enough. You're always so wonderful and insightful. And folks, go to watch those videos. Again, put in reincarnated mystic Deete, correct?
I think that's what you can type in.
This seems like you should know this.
Reincarnated Mormon first. And
yes,
then,
that's how it came up.
With it.
There's another mystic that used to be Mormon that came up, and I was like, "You are not my friend. Where's my friend?" So yes, reincarnated Mormon. You will find her, beautiful blonde lady. That's her videos. Where can they book a reading? Where can they read more about you? What's the website?
So my website is reincarnatedmystic.com, and I have all my YouTube links on there as well. And you can book a session. I think I'm really good at looking at timelines. I think because timelines for individuals is a little bit easier because they've lived their life a certain way for so long. When you're looking at collective, it's all over the board. Like, I have no idea where this virus is going to take us. Right. It's basically just put a big bombshell on consciousness. So we're all just going to have to make sense of things later. But yeah, individually, I think it'll work really well. And I do really good on soul contracts. If you're with somebody in a relationship and kind of channeling their higher self as well.
Great. Wonderful. Awesome. Yeah. And your just regular readings are fantastic too. I've had them.
Did you have a reading with me?
I did, after I left Utah last time, which, by the way, is still the weirdest chain of synchronicities. Do you remember that day?
Yes, that day was weird. We were in retrograde Scorpio, so it was super psycho.
Oh, God. And now the Draconians are playing with my Alexa. Whatever. All right, everybody. Book a reading. Go watch the videotapes. She is fantastic. My friend Deete, reincarnatedmystic.com. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed the bonus episode. I'll try and get up more while we're all stuck not working at home. Thanks to Mike Flynn at Uno Rising Media. And let me know if you need a straw or a sticker. karenrontowski.com. Everybody have a great day.